Amazing. That is amazing. 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 Subscribe now.
When times get tough, you need to get proud. No need to look backward, put your feet on the ground. Stand up, stand up.
Welcome to the Fallen State. I'm Jesse Lee Peterson. Today I'm talking to a rapper, Miss Proper. Miss Proper is here. She's a songwriter, recording artist, as I said, rapper. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
How did you get into rapping?
Well, I started with poetry. My mother's a poet. So just going through the normal motions of growing up, I used poetry as an outlet. And as I got older, I decided to put some beats behind it. And the rest is...
How long you been doing it?
I've been writing since I was 8, rapping seriously since 2005.
So at 8 years old, you decided, let me sit down and write a song?
Write a poem.
Write a poem?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of in you to do that?
Yeah, I believe so.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's your natural gift, your talent from God.
Yes, absolutely.
That's great. And so I in preparing for the show, I listened to some of your rap music.
I'm sure.
What does your mother think about your rap music?
My mother's my manager, and she loves it.
Really?
Yes.
But you do some cursing and stuff like that?
Sometimes I do.
She doesn't mind that?
No. She lets me have my artistic freedom, so to speak. She doesn't try to censor me. Now, in her house, that might be a different story.
Yeah. And so how did you go from writing to rapping?
I just did it for fun, so to speak. And then in 2005, I started an independent record label, So Proper Entertainment. And I had some artists that I was just kind of backing. And then I just featured on their songs, and people around the city just started asking for music. And it was really after I did my first show that I loved being on stage.
Right.
And I just took it full speed ahead.
That's amazing. So you grew up in Virginia?
Yes.
And were you raised by your father and mother?
I did have a father. He's not my biological father,
Right.
but yes, I did have a father and mother in the home.
And how about where's your natural father? What happened with him?
He's here. He's in South Carolina.
So you didn't know him?
I know him. We just, like any typical relationship, we've had some disconnect sometimes.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. Hopefully one day you can get that straightened out, right?
I hope so.
Yeah,
And
you'll
maybe
like
he's
it.
watching this.
That's right. Would you like to be one with him?
I would like to.
daughters?
Absolutely.
Is he aware of that?
Yes, but I don't think he necessarily goes about it the right way sometimes,
Right.
so to speak. Yeah.
I don't see rap music as a good music, especially for young people. Am I seeing it the wrong way? And primarily because of the roughness of it, the type of songs, the
Right.
cursing, the N-word and all that.
Well-
am I seeing, being an older guy, am I seeing it in the wrong way?
I don't think age has anything to do with it. There's a lot of older people that like hip hop. I think there is a lot of hip hop that's not necessarily for children. Like for myself, I make it very clear. I'm not making certain music. When you buy my album, it's not for your child.
Right.
My mother censored me from listening to music with profanity in it till about 14, 15 years old.
Yeah.
So I think that adult musicians make music for adults, and then there are some that make some for minors.
Yeah. There's a rapper by the name of Eminem.
Yes.
Remember him?
I love him.
You love him?
He's my favorite.
Really? And
Yeah.
why?
He was just growing up. He was always so edgy. He was not afraid to speak his mind,
Right.
and I looked up to that because I was really shy growing up.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
He seemed to be a very angry guy.
Yeah, he can be.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
That's his emotions to deal with. Sometimes you can understand why he's angry. More so, I'm just a fan. I just listen to his story.
I've noticed that, and then I want to come back to Eminem. There are a lot more and more female rappers
Yes.
now.
Yes.
At one time, they shied away from that kind of stuff, right?
Well, they've always existed, but the industry kind of has this rule where it's like one at a time. And that's why even now you'll see that they try to make it a competition between a lot of female MCs. So they've always been there, especially if you pay attention to the underground scene.
Oh, I see. Eminem has been trying to get the attention of the president of the Great White Hope. And he's been saying things, rapping things about the president, but the president won't respond. And so he said, the president won't respond to me. Is he falling to some pieces or something? That's why he tried to get the president's attention?
I don't know. Well, I read his interview with, I think it was Vulture. So I think he wants the president to act on certain things that he feels are wrong. But to me, I feel like his response should be through action, not necessarily words or Twitter.
Right. Oh, the president
Yeah.
or the rapper?
The president, as far as him responding to Eminem.
Oh, I see. You don't like the Twitter?
No, I like Twitter.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Do you like the fact that the president tweets?
I don't really care. At first, I'm not gonna lie. At first, it was like really annoying, but then I've gotten to the point where I'm just like,
You're accustomed to it now.
it's kind of just like a part of life. Everyone has Twitter. It's like a brand thing.
What do you think about Eminem complaining or trying to get the president's attention?
I don't know if it was necessarily complaining. I think he was just using his voice, and I think that that's amazing, especially when you have people that critique hip hop so much. Oh, they say so many bad things. If you want to speak up for what you feel is wrong, I think that's okay.
So have you ever met him?
Eminem?
Uh-huh.
Oh, no.
You've not
No,
met him?
I have not.
You would love to meet him?
Absolutely.
Oh, really?
Yeah, are you going to pull Eminem?
Do you agree with him?
And as far as how he feels about the president?
Yes.
Sometimes. I don't necessarily agree with the anger just because I don't let other people's actions necessarily anger me.
Right.
I may not agree with them, but it doesn't make me angry.
Right.
But I mean, as far as his critiques, yeah.
How old are you, if I might ask?
I am 30.
Are you 30?
Yes, sir.
For some reason, I knew you would tell me that, but you look so much younger.
I get that a lot. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's amazing. How do you feel when Eminem and people like him criticize the NRA, National Rifle Association?
Doesn't bother me.
It doesn't?
No.
Do you support the NRA?
No.
You do not?
I'm not necessarily against them. I'm not going to protest against them, but am I for them? No.
You believe that we should have the right to bear arms?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And what do you think about all this stuff going on where they're trying to ban certain gun and they change the age limit as to from 18 to 21 in order to buy a gun? You think they should be doing that?
Well, yeah, as far as the age limit, if you have to be 21, they say to even drink responsibly, how can you have a gun responsibly at 18?
But at 18, you can go into the military, you can carry a weapon there, and if you're mature enough to go into the military and carry a weapon,
Right.
why not at 18?
Well, that's different. That's a trained professional. So you're looking at a trained professional whose job is to deal with weapons, and then just normal everyday people who sometimes have no common sense with these things in their home.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you blame guns for the violence we've seen lately?
I blame people.
That's right. Wow.
I feel like if you take all the guns away, there's no guns, they'll just find knives or they'll make bombs like they're doing in Texas. There's always ways if you want to get rid of someone.
That's
it's not
right.
the gun, it's the person behind the gun.
They'll use a car or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's amazing. What is your opinion about the state of Black Americans today?
I think right now it's there's a rise in consciousness. I will say that there are some people becoming more enlightened, so to speak. I think that there is some stagnant people sometimes, which it may not necessarily always be their fault, but I think that things are looking on the up and up. I think that we are definitely unifying a little bit more than we have, so to speak, in the past.
The blacks are unifying together more?
Yeah, as far as like community support, like any other community
Right.
would, yeah.
I see. Who is to blame for the destruction of black people? And not all, but most are very angry and destructive. Who is to blame for that?
Well, initially you could say it was the Europeans if you want to go there. But as far as present day, I feel like we have to, I'm a big person on you have to take care of your own emotions.
That's
so
right.
like if you say something now and I don't like it, that's one thing. But me being upset and lashing out, that's a total other thing. And I think we do need to do better with that.
Yeah. Where does all that emotion come from?
Probably the anger and feeling like every time you do try to do better, you get kicked back and things like that. And then sometimes it's what you learn growing up from your family members. Yeah.
And you say the Europeans in the past have done this to blacks to mess them up?
As far as what they've done, you know, slavery and things like that.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Do you believe that slavery is affecting blacks today?
I believe that psychologically it could. As far as when you look at the mental health, you know, the state of mental health within Black Americans, if you take a slave and then they were freed, naturally they have PTSD and things that come with that. And because of how they feel, they pass that to their kids and then their kids and then their kids. It's like a cycle.
I grew up in Alabama.
Okay.
And I grew up on a plantation.
Oh.
Under the Jim Crow laws. We didn't have, like, We didn't have this type of anger and destruction.
Right.
When there was colored signs, only white signs, but black people were a noble people. For the most part, they got married. They didn't blame the white man for anything. They took care of themselves. They built black universities and they got educated and they bought land and did all those things, even under the Jim Crow laws. If white people has created all this stuff that they're going through, why didn't we see it back then?
Well, one, we had a difference in leadership back then. When you have people like, Martin Luther King, he's a stand-up guy. Right now, we don't have a Martin Luther King of today to say, let's not take the violent approach and things like that.
That's
we
a
don't.
very interesting point. The problem is, and you're causing me to remember this, back in those days, blacks didn't have leaders. They fought and did for themselves because they knew that if you turn your life over to someone else, they're going to screw you up. They'll take advantage of you.
No, I agree with that. You
Yeah.
definitely have to take your life in your own hands.
Right.
But there were definitely leaders, even if they were just within the community. The communities together were more cohesive.
But we didn't have, there was no leaders though. They had adults who taught their kids how to treat others, how to respect other people's property and
Yeah, those are
treat
still
people.
leaders, though.
But they weren't, but other people weren't teaching you that. The parents taught that by
Right.
example. There were no leader. Dr. King came along after a while,
Right.
but he was not the leader of black people. That came after the civil rights
Well, when
movement
I
started.
say leader, I don't necessarily mean that we need someone to give us the blueprint on how to live.
Yeah.
I'm saying as far as someone out there spreading positive messages and things like that.
Right.
And when people feel that frustration talking to them on how that they can process those emotions. Sometimes your parents can't necessarily do that for you if they can't do it for themselves.
Right.
They always say it takes a village to raise a child, so to speak.
I've always said that there's no such thing as bad children, but bad parents, because you become like your parents. Whatever your parents are, is what you become. If your parents are angry and fighting, you're going to grow up doing the same thing. You tend to become
Maybe.
like your parents.
Well, that's possible because I do have some traits from my parents,
Yeah.
but when you become an adult, you have to take accountability.
Yeah.
When you grew up, you may have learned this total behavior, but when you become an adult and you're making independent decisions, it's up to you for how you're going to behave on a day-to-day basis.
Do you pay attention to politics and what's going on in the world?
Sometimes I really don't watch the news too much
Yeah.
because I feel like it spreads a lot of negativity.
Right.
So sometimes if I feel it's important to me, yeah.
Do you vote?
Yeah.
And did you vote for the Great White Hope?
I did not.
And why not?
Well, I never thought that he would be a good president. I mean, just because you're good on TV, does
Right.
not make you good for a country.
And now that he's done good, are you going to vote for him the second time around?
I would never vote for him.
Really?
Nah.
Why not?
He just is not my cup of tea.
What's wrong with him?
I think he says very ignorant things sometimes.
Like what, for example?
Very divisive things. Like when you consider people from Mexico rapists or criminals, or the things that he said calling Africa and places in the Caribbean as whole countries and things like that. Those are very divisive things.
Right.
And I just don't agree with it.
Were they true things?
No.
They were not true?
Everyone, every race, every demographic, they have bad and good people. So to categorize everyone in one bunch, I don't necessarily agree with that all the time.
Did you personally hear what he said? This is based on what someone says he said.
No, I do my own research. I don't just go by hearsay.
And so, but he didn't say all the illegal alien was rapists. He said that coming across the borders, you have rapists and murders and all this kind
Right.
of stuff, and that is taking place. There are a lot of Hispanic women who have been raped along the way, children and stuff.
Yeah.
And so, but he didn't say everyone.
But still, the way he phrases it, it comes off very divisive. And if you have a collection of people feeling that way, you kind of have to pay attention to it. Maybe it's not his intent behind the statement, but how he stated it.
Right. But so if you're telling the truth, how should you state the truth?
If that's how he feels that's his truth, I can't judge him
Right.
for that, but I also don't have to agree with it.
Even if it's true?
I don't agree that building a wall is going to solve all our problems, or the things that he says about Mexicans or Hispanics are going to solve all of our problems.
But you do agree that with an open border, you have rapists and murderers and robbers and some that are not coming across, right?
I think when you have an over concentration of population in any area, you're going to have crime.
Right.
It doesn't matter if they're coming across the border, boat, airplane, we're born here.
Right.
And which is another concern. What are you going to do about the domestic terrorists in this country that do the mass shootings and things of that?
Right.
These are not illegal people that are killing children and stuff like that in their schools or movie theaters.
And so do you agree with him, though, that there are rapists and murders and some good folks coming across the borders?
There are some bad with the good, yeah.
Yeah.
There are
And
some
so
bad
you
people.
agree with him then?
No, I don't agree that he should build the wall and all the other things, but I do agree that there are some bad seeds in the apple sometimes.
So that's what I'm responding to right now. I'm asking about right now. When he made that statement, that is a true statement, right?
Sometimes. I don't think you should generalize it.
But when he made the statement, it's a true statement.
If he's generalizing it, no.
I
do
don't know
not
what you
agree
mean
with
by
that.
generalizing.
By
He just
saying
made the
that
statement.
all Mexicans or all people that cross the border are like this.
But he didn't say all.
But the way he worded it, it came off that way.
And
So
give me-
for that, I cannot agree with him.
Really?
Right.
Even though you said, and you just agreed, there are rapists and murderers and
Right, there are
drug
some.
dealers and some that are good coming across the border.
There are some good people as well. There are
Yeah.
also independent business owners and mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters and college students too.
And so you do agree then? You don't want to agree with him?
No, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't really
But why
like it. I don't.
So even though he said the truth, because you dislike him, you don't want to agree, even though it's true.
I don't agree with the way he words it. There's a lot of times when you'll hear people say things, like for example, going with Eminem, that's my favorite rapper.
Right.
That doesn't mean that everything he said about Trump, I'll be like, oh yeah, just because I like
That's
him,
right.
because I don't like the way he worded it. So the way he worded it, I'm not gonna agree with that statement.
Are you in support of putting up a big, beautiful wall around the border?
If he wants to put that wall up, he better do it with his own money.
But you're okay with it? You agree with it?
No, I think it's a waste of time and money, because if people really want to come here, they're still going to come here.
Right. But through the front door, they won't come in so many numbers at one time. The wall will stop
Then
that.
he can pay for it. It's like anytime you want to put an addition to your house, you're going to pay for it. You want to change the door? Oh, this screen door doesn't lock properly. I need me a big old oak door with the double lock. You got to pay for it, so you pay for
A
it.
lot of the illegals, most of the illegals are coming in and they're getting free houses, free food,
Right.
free education, free everything. And they tend to have babies like 90 going north. And it, and then they want to bring over every Tom, Dick, and Harry with them. And so in the long run, you're going to end up spending more money taking care of them and those who are coming than you would paying for the wall.
So why don't we reform how we accept these people in the country then?
What do you mean?
As far as instead of just setting them up as you are saying, you know, that they're dependent on the system and
Right.
using up all these dollars, then if someone comes here legally and they are become a citizen or get their green card or worker's permit or whatever legally, show them the skills and the traits like we do any other community center, so that they don't have to be dependent, they can be interdependent. And
But we're talking about illegals. They are lawbreakers because they break the law to come here, which make them criminals, and you don't want to reward criminals, do you?
no, we don't reward criminals, but I don't think it should be that hard to necessarily be a citizen if you're a good person. Now, if you have a history of criminal activity in the country you're coming from, that's a different story.
We do agree, though, that they are criminals when they break the law by coming here across the borders illegal.
I don't know why they did that. So while it is against our law, so legally they're a criminal, I'm not going to judge them because I don't know their story.
But you know that they're criminals, all right? That's all we need to know. I don't care about their story.
According to the law, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of them are coming in and they're moving into the urban areas, the black communities. And most of these people don't like black people. Even in Mexico,
Yeah, I don't
blacks
understand
are
that.
second-class citizens. Have you noticed that they don't like blacks?
I noticed that more so when I moved here.
Right.
I had a few Mexican encounters, or Hispanic,
Yeah.
I won't just generalize,
Right.
where it was a little judgmental, which is a little confusing to me, because I feel like if anything, we should be getting along.
And why do you think we should get along with them?
Well, when you're looking at the minorities in the situation, why work against each other? If they're moving into these communities, why work against each other? Why fight about it?
Because they-
if they, you know, you feel like the government doesn't want you here and we feel how we feel, why wouldn't we come together, basically?
They look down on blacks. Blacks are second-class citizens in Mexico.
Yeah.
It's a mess. And when they come in, they are overpopulating the schools in the urban areas. there are a lot of women, black women who are citizens here when they go to the hospital to try to get health care or something. The Mexicans are everywhere. And so, and so they have to wait in long lines or get no service at all. A lot of blacks have moved away from South Central LA,
I've noticed.
Compton and other places because they're under attack. Does that bother you that these illegals are coming in and they're taking the jobs, even like contracting jobs and things like that? Are you bothered that these illegals are coming in and they hate the blacks and they're just taking over?
I'm bothered if anyone hates black people. It's
Right.
not necessarily the illegals. Anyone that feels like blacks are a second-class citizen, I have a problem with that. As far as the taking the jobs, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that because I have never like went into a place and there was a Hispanic person working. I'm like, damn it, if they weren't here, I'd have that job.
Well, drive over in South Central LA on Monday morning if it's not raining. You're going to see all Mexicans working contracting
And that's
jobs.
why we, as a community, need to create jobs for our own people. Then you won't have to worry
But
about
those
that.
are the black. That community belongs to the black people.
I'm saying
And
as far
also-
as us being our own business owners and things
yeah,
like
we
that.
should do that.
Right.
And the blacks, the Hispanics won't hire black people.
That's fine. I'm not
And there's
going to work
something-
there anyway. I mean, I find it interesting, but
Yeah.
they're probably putting their own family first, which can I really blame them for that?
So wouldn't it be nice to send them back home and let them act that way in their own hometown?
I don't really care what they do because it's crazy. When I walk down the street, I'm really not scared of like a Hispanic doing something to me. But when I'm on the metro and I see the Caucasian guy and it's 80 degrees outside and he has on a trench coat, I'm like, that's what scares me.
Really?
Yeah.
But why would you be afraid of the white guy when the Mexicans are more violent than the whites are?
Because a lot of the stuff that happens within the Hispanic communities, there's a lot of gang activity,
Yeah.
which I don't necessarily agree with.
Right.
But a lot of that sticks to street stuff when you're looking at most. I'm not in the streets, so I don't have those problems.
Right.
But you have the average Caucasian man who may be mad that he just got laid off or his girlfriend left him, and there goes everybody. I have a major problem with that.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's. Are you? How about if you got on the train and there's a black person like that? Would you be afraid of him?
It's 80 degrees, you got a trench coat on?
Right.
Yeah, why you got a trench coat on? It's 80 degrees outside.
Yeah.
What you got in there?
Should blacks be into their blackness or morality? You know, becoming a good man or a good woman and treating people the way you would like to be treated.
Both.
I'm noticing that blacks are into their blackness.
You can be into your blackness and still be a moral person.
How?
I'm a moral person. I don't break laws. I don't abuse people. I don't.
Are you into your blackness?
Yeah, I love being black. I mean,
No,
I'm multiracial, but hey, I've been treated just black my whole life. That's how
When
I
you
grew
say
up.
multiracial, what do you mean?
I'm also part German.
Part German? Your father? Or mother?
No, on my mother's side, her mother.
Really? Amazing. And so, is it possible to be into what's right and be into black?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Amazing.
Just because, you know, there's 50 million posts about what blackness is doesn't mean that, oh, I'm going to agree with that. There are black leaders where I may listen to a lecture, as they call it, or when they're speaking, but that doesn't mean I believe everything that comes out of their mouth. I'll take Farrakhan for an example. I don't agree with everything he says, you know,
He's an
but
evil guy.
depending on, he can be. He does say some bad stuff, I ain't gonna lie. But there's also some other messages in relevance to blackness that you may listen to. That doesn't mean I have to soak up everything like a sponge. I'm 30 years old, you know. I know what's right and wrong.
And the reason I asked about this because there's a singer by the name of Bruno Mars,
Oh, yeah.
and you're familiar with him, right?
Yeah.
You like his music?
I love his music.
Yeah.
He's talented.
Well, the blacks are mad at him because they said he was culture appropriation. You heard of that?
Yeah, but I don't think that's true. I mean, I really don't understand how that started because just like a year ago, everybody was dripped in 24 karat, and now everybody's like, oh, he's appropriating culture.
Yeah.
But didn't y'all just love the song he dropped with Cardi B? So I don't really understand that, especially when you look at his background growing up.
Right.
He was influenced by a lot of urban music, so to speak, so that's a part of him.
It's confusing because a lot of blacks say, well, why don't they do what we do? You know, they want to influence whites and others. And then when they influence the whites, they say, oh, you're culture appropriated, meaning that you're trying to act black. So it's like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Well, I think it's depending on how it's used. In this case, I think it's being used wrong.
Yeah.
But we could take another artist, and I'm probably gonna catch some heat for this, but I'll say it. Drake. Okay, he's a black man,
Right.
but I mean, one year he has like a London accent, the next he's Jamaican, like,
Yeah.
and you don't necessarily see him giving back to those communities. To me, that's more cultural appropriation. You taking something, profiting it, and not giving it back.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Amazing. Has he been confronted about that by anybody?
Who, Drake?
Uh-huh.
I mean, that Black Twitter always talking about him.
Oh.
So,
This guy, Bruno, is a Puerto Rican.
yeah.
And he's Jewish. And his mother's Filipina. So I don't know why they would have a problem with him. He's all that they are.
Yeah, like I said, I don't even understand how that started. I think someone kind of dropped the bug and everybody just kind of ran with it.
Yeah. What do you think the motivation is? The people who are accusing him of this.
On the timeline, people just don't have anything to do.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a real reasoning behind it.
They have a lot of time left on their hands. to do
Right,
nothing, huh?
absolutely.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what you think about the Black Lives Matter movement. I noticed that ever since the fallen Messiah left the White House, they seem to start. You know who the fallen Messiah is?
Who is the fallen Messiah?
Barack.
Why? Oh my God. Okay.
But ever since he left the White House, they kind of fade away. I don't hear a lot about them at all now.
As far as, you may not hear more about it because it's not in the national news, but they're still very active. So if you follow the movement, then
Do you believe, as I do, that they're a far left, liberal, radical, agitated, evil organization that was founded by black lesbians and black homosexuals and social justice warriors? And that they're worse than the KKK?
why are they're worse than the KKK?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Why
I
not?
do not agree with that.
Do you agree with the organization?
Oh yeah, I do definitely believe Black Lives Matter.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, do you agree with the organization Black Lives
The
Matter?
actual organization itself,
yeah.
as far as finding justice, yes.
Really?
Yes.
You
Now
don't
there's a
look
lot
like-
of people that,
You don't look like you would agree. You're too reasonable to agree with them.
hey, that's why I say you can be into your blackness and still have morality.
When they chanted, what do we want dead cops, when do we want it now? And pigs in the blanket, fry 'em like bacon. And then blacks go out and start killing up cops. Isn't that worse than the KKK?
So Black Lives Matter didn't say that. Black Lives Matter supporters did. So like myself, I'm a supporter, but I'm not in the organization.
Did you
So-
chant that?
No.
Oh. So, but there were Black Lives leadership amongst those who were marching and saying that too. And they never denounced it, so they have to be a part of it.
No, that's not true. It's already been discovered that that was not part of their protest. That was not part of the official Black Lives Matter organization.
Well, why didn't they denounce it?
Because they have other. Your energy is your peace. So if you have this much energy, you can either spend it with these folks over here and say, no, you're wrong, or you can spend it over here and you can build up to something.
Yeah.
So that's probably where they were at with it.
If it was a white group doing the same, exact same, the only thing different is white people doing it, would you be okay with that?
If they said,
If they were doing exactly what Black Lives Matter is doing, is saying white lives matter.
I mean,
what
they
do we
basically
want?
did that when you have the alt-right is basically white lives matter in a nutshell.
And are you okay with that?
No.
You're not.
No, because it's a difference between saying I want to be treated equal and saying you essentially ain't nothing. When you go and tear people down, and you said that they're worse than the KKK.
Right.
Like the KKK actually hurts people, like the actual members of the KKK.
And so does Black Lives Matter.
No, but their supporters may hurt people. But the actual organization, the female lesbians that you said, they've never gone out there and hurt anybody.
No, that's not true.
Who did they hurt
They are some
physically?
They kill the souls of young black people by causing them to hate the white man. And so anytime, you have to agree that anytime you cause someone to become angry at their fellow man, you're killing the soul of that person, because anger kills the soul. You agree with that, right?
Anger does kill the soul,
And
but
so
they
they're
didn't teach
causing
them to
blacks
hate
to
white
hate
men.
white people.
They didn't teach them to hate white people.
Yes, they
They're
are.
teaching them to stand up for what they believe in. There's a lot of things that are happening that are wrong. There was a young man that was just shot in his own backyard, and all he had was a cell phone in his hand. But what's going to happen with those cops?
But the point is that they're teaching the young people to hate. The KKK never taught young people to hate. I don't know if they taught white people to hate young, but the Black Lives Matter, who says they care about black lives, are teaching other blacks to hate. Black Lives Matter is running around and killing the souls of black people
I don't think they're doing that.
by making them hate.
No, you can't make someone feel hate. You, again.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can.
No, then if they're making someone hate, then that person or that parent or whoever it is, they need to do some more internal soul searching. Because there's nothing. You could have every person of Black Lives Matter right here. And if they say something I don't agree with, or they could say all these negative things, it's not going to make me
But
feel
young
hatred.
kids don't have that same strength and insight. If they look up to Black Lives Matter, and Black Lives Matter blaming white folks for their problems or saying, this is why you're doing something, young kids are going to believe into that. And then they become angry at the white people and their lives are screwed up.
Well, I think that opens up the door for another conversation then. There should be no one outside of the home that has more influence on a child's life than the parents.
But they're coming from single-parent homes.
That doesn't mean anything. There's a lot of single women and men out here doing their thing and raising stand-up children.
Where?
All over the place.
Like where?
So every single parent out here is having hoodlum little bad kids that are filled with hatred and they don't have a soul.
Well, I'm sure there are exceptions to the rule, but you have, according to the Washington Examiner, you have 77% of black babies born out of wedlock with black women who were born in this country. And so those black kids are going to grow up and listen to people like Black Lives Matter blaming white folks, and that's going to be an issue.
That's not necessarily true, though.
What's not necessarily true?
As far as if they preach hate, everyone that follows Black Lives Matter is not full of hate.
Really?
No.
I've not met one that's full of love.
Hi.
Well, you're the first.
I like being the first.
Do you ever hear, you mentioned alt-right?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard them say hate black people and blame black people for their problems?
Well, their whole purpose right now is their fear of not preserving their race, or so to speak, or their power, or whatever they have a problem with. So that says enough right there.
And why are they concerned about that?
You have to ask them. I don't know.
Do you know that white people are under attack by blacks and Hispanics and others?
No.
Yeah. They remember when they had the knockout game where blacks were going around knocking white people out, robbing them, laughing about it.
Was it just white
killing
people,
them?
though?
Yeah, most of the part were white people. Now, there may be
No,
some
that was
other-
a definitely wrong game.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit there and agree with that, but
Right.
I don't feel like they're under attack. I just walked in here and there was like a bunch of white people, no bodyguards. I didn't attack anybody, and I don't think they
But
were afraid.
overall, white people are under attack. The white man has been accused of everything that's wrong with everybody else.
Do you think that the white man has done everything right for the country, not just for themselves?
White Americans have done right in that they created the greatest country on this side of heaven. You would agree to that, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Go America. I'm an American.
Right, and so you do agree that white people founded and created the greatest country on this side of heaven, right?
Well, they didn't build this country, so they can't take all the credit.
They did build it. Who built
No,
it?
my ancestors and yours too, believe it or
But
not.
they didn't just build it by themselves. They got paid to build it. And then white folks helped them
How you
along
get
the way.
paid to build as a slave? Not
there-
indentured servants, slaves.
But there were slave owners who paid their, some of them paid
Yeah,
too.
but that was rare and far in between. The average life of a slave, they weren't getting paid and going to cash their checks every 2
But
weeks.
do you think the black slave owners paid their slaves that was here in this country?
I don't know what they did, but they shouldn't had slaves at all.
But let's go back to, we do agree that it's because of the white man that we have the greatest country in the world, right?
It's because of a multiplicity of people and races that we have the greatest country. You
But do
cannot
you-
give that to one person.
Do you agree that it was the white man who founded the country?
No, because there were like whole families and stuff living here before white people even got here. So if anything, if we really want to get down to the nitty gritty, let's thank the Native Americans for everything that they
They
did.
didn't do anything. They were sitting around smoking peyote, and they weren't building anything.
They were minding their business, living a happy life.
No, living out in the land, but it wasn't even
So-
America at the time. It was just open land. And a
But
white
they didn't
came.
ask for that. If that's what they wanted, if that's what made them happy, what's wrong with that?
Are you grateful that white Americans built the great country on this side of heaven?
They didn't build it.
Amazing. Are you happy that they founded the greatest country on this side of heaven?
Sometimes.
But not all the time?
No, sometimes I feel a certain type of way because of how I'm treated in this country.
And how you're treated by white people?
Well, now, even Hispanics in LA, but yeah,
Who treats you worse, Hispanics or white people?
white people.
How do they treat you?
Oh, it's just the condescending talk. I'm not saying all, just my interactions that I've
Right.
had. The condescending talk, I mean, literally before we moved, we had a drunk driver, a white drunk driver hit the car, hit us from behind. So by default, you're wrong. You're drunk and you hit someone. We're in a white area, 2 white cops were there. He's in the back of the police car. I'm with my little brother. He's calling us all types of N-words. The cops are laughing. And then when they write out the report, they write it like it's our fault. So we couldn't even get anything from insurance. This was a drunk man that hit us from behind. Like,
Were you guys acting out or something? Because blacks tend to carry on when they stop.
absolutely not. I stood there because, for one, it was dark. We already know this area that we were in is Colonial Heights. You know how the police officers there, and like I said, I had my little brother with me. I'm not gonna do anything to
Right.
put my little brother in harm's way.
But-
We stood there, and my brother was in disbelief. He had never been in a situation like that before.
But that's not all white people. It's not even majority.
I'm not speaking about all. I said from my experiences. You said who's
Right.
treated me worse. I've had more negative encounters with white people than Hispanics.
Do white people have a right to organize and protect themselves and fight for their rights as well?
What rights are different than ours? Why, aren't we all Americans and have the same rights?
Just as black people are doing it, Black Lives Matter, others are fighting for blacks' rights, right?
Well, do you see like white people being killed by black cops all the time and then black cops just getting on like paid vacation?
Well, I don't
That
see
kinda
as
makes a
many being
difference.
killed by black cops, but according to all of the stats, blacks are killing whites and robbing and raping them more so than whites are doing it to black in a large number. So they have to protect themselves from the blacks. But should white people be organizing, since they're so under attack by the people of color, should they organize to protect themselves?
If you have someone of any race attacking you or your family, you have the right to protect yourself. I will leave it at that. But do you need to go to the store and say, you know what? These daggone black people, they're Black Lives Matter, they're gonna be here and I'm gonna show them. No, nobody's coming to bother you just because someone's walking around in a circle saying Black Lives Matter. Sticks and stones may break bones, words don't hurt. What are you doing all that for? If you have to get a gun because you're afraid of what someone's talking about, you are weak.
But they do have a right to organize and protect themselves.
Yeah, it's an
as all
American
the
right
other
to
people
organize.
do.
That's a right.
And that's not racist, right?
Organizing? No, that's not racist. If anything, depending on what their cause is, it might be prejudice. They may say things that are stereotypical, but not racist. Racism is a system.
I've noticed that blacks hate whites more than whites hate blacks. Why is that?
I think that just might be the people that you've encountered.
No, I see it and hear it all the time, everywhere.
I meet a lot of black people and they don't say that they hate white people. Like,
Do you love white people?
do Black Lives Matter?
Do you love white people?
I love all people.
Do you love white people?
I love all people.
Do you love white people?
I love all people.
How about white people?
I love all people.
But I'm only asking about whites.
Do I love them?
Do you love white people?
Are they included with all?
No, I'm just only asking about white people. Do you love white people?
Do Black Lives Matter?
That's not what I'm asking.
I want to know.
No,
because
answer that
what
first
I'm
for
saying
me.
is no different from all lives matter.
No. I'm asking you, do you love white people?
I love all people. And
Well,
if you want to put them in all, then yeah.
I'm not asking about all. Do you love white people?
I love all people.
Do black Americans have the same opportunity these days as whites do?
These days, I don't know if they have all of the same. I think that they may have more than the past, and sometimes we don't necessarily know that. But to say all, no. I don't think we have all the same.
What is they have the same, you don't think that blacks have the same opportunity that whites have now?
Well, sometimes you have to look at going back to like the single parent household. By default, if you compare a child born in a single parent household, just talking about like financial type of opportunities, compared to someone who came from a lineage with money and a trust fund ready for them, they're going to be different opportunities available, one, because of the money, two, because of the people that they probably know and things and so on and so forth.
And whose fault is that?
That depends.
On what?
It's a case by case. You can't group everybody in the same. Some people bring it on themselves. Some people have tried and they keep getting kicked down. I know people that have done crimes, but they went to jail. So they paid their time. They did their consequences. It's done. They get home, they're trying to go straight and narrow, but can they get a job? No.
But is it the white man's fault that the black woman and the black man decided to make a baby out of wedlock, and then the black man go off and make a baby by someone else and leave the woman there?
I didn't say that was the white man's fault. I just said that the opportunities are different. But no, you going and having sex with somebody, that's your own decision. I never said that was the white man's fault.
If black men and women were to get married and have children, raise them together, would that child have the same opportunity because of having those good parents that the white child had as a result of having good parents?
It depends on the economic status as well. That has a lot to do with it. So you could have two both parent households, and if one is poor and one is rich, it's going to be different. Your circles are different.
What is your opinion of black men or men, period?
Men are men. I love black men. I mean,
What is a man?
what is a man? It's a stand-up guy. He's a protector. He's a provider. He opens up the doors, you know, like he's a man. He's a leader of.
Do you see that happening with the black men that around?
The black men around me, absolutely. All of the black men around me are leaders.
They're like that?
Absolutely.
And do you think most black men are like that?
Yes. I just think it's not displayed as much because it's easier to talk about the bad stuff.
Is it hard being a black woman in the black community?
No.
Do black men respect black women?
Sometimes there's a disconnect from what I've seen. I've never had a problem with black men, but just from some of my female friends in their relationships, sometimes there's maybe the value isn't there. They don't see the value of the black woman as much sometimes.
And why
but
is
that's
that?
not. Oh, I have absolutely no. I'm not a black man. I don't know.
Have you never asked why do black men tend to hate black women?
No, because the black men around me love black women.
I've noticed that most black men, not all, that most are like their mothers. And so I've noticed that most black men and women hate their mothers.
No way. What black people do you talk to? Black people, we gonna love our mama and our grandma if we don't love anything else.
And why is that?
Because those are probably the ones that are taking care of you.
But they're loving their mothers and grandmothers by voice and not by choice. Because what happened is that the mothers and grandmothers are so impatient. You know, they yell at you, they impose on you, they try to control you as a kid. And you become angry, and as you know, you become like who you hate. If you're angry at your mother, you take on her personality and you lose yours. And so now you're growing up angry and impatient and acting just like your mother. And so that's why most black men and women are like their mothers rather than themselves. And so that's not loving, that's hating.
I've never come across someone who feels like they're forced to love their mom
But they
or their
they
grandma.
might not.
I was not in a household where like I'm being yelled at by my grandma or my mom. So I didn't develop that kind of hate to relate to that question.
But they might not realize, because when you are angry at someone, you feel love for them. You become attracted to what you hate.
Why are they angry?
Because the mothers are so impatient with them while growing up. And
Who
then
was
in many
that?
cases,
I
turning
don't
them
know
away
about
from their fathers. And as you know, the worst thing that can happen to kids is to turn them away from their fathers.
I feel like
You agree with that?
the worst thing to turn them away from their fathers, I
Yes.
think that fathers aren't doing enough to stay in their children's lives sometimes.
Because the mothers won't let them, and they can't handle the anger of the black woman.
No. Well, that's totally ridiculous. If you want to be in your child's life, you'll be in your child's life. And that even means if you have to go to court. And if the court doesn't rule in your favor, that means you file an appeal and you keep going and you keep
But
going.
most black men don't have the money to do that with.
Get it. Find a way, make a means.
What caused these women to keep the fathers away from their children?
I don't know any black mothers that keep their children away from their fathers.
But it is happening all the time. What would cause a woman to do that?
If they do it, it might be a personal feeling, how they felt in the relationship. But again, it's up to that father to be in the life. If he just goes, oh, she won't let me see my kid. All right, guess I'm not a dad.
She makes it impossible, and then when they do try to do it,
nothing is impossible.
The mother accuses them of being
People
rapists.
got to stop putting limits on themselves. Nothing is impossible.
Well,
if there's a problem,
I believe that, but the men, the women call them rapists or accuse them of molesting their daughters. And so the men just say, look, I'm not going to jail. So, and I know many cases like that. Many cases.
I don't know what kind of circle you hang around, to be
No,
honest.
I counsel with men that are going through that. I've had to go to
and
court.
they're calling them rapists, then that's absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely wrong. And they should be going, and if anything, they need to go get custody then.
As an entertainer, do you agree with the Me Too movement? You heard of them?
I don't disagree with it. It's their movement. I mean, people are speaking out. How can you really agree or disagree with that?
Because it's a bunch of women who hate men. They want to destroy men. It's like, the National Organization of Women Who Hate Men.
But they were raped.
They were raped?
Like a whole raping happened.
You believe that?
Some of them might be lying, but
Yeah.
everybody's not lying.
But I'm sure some of them are not, but most are lying.
I don't believe that.
Because women can get mad at the man if she can't control him, and she'll say anything to try to destroy him. Not all ladies, of course, not all women, but she'll go through to the limit to try to destroy him if she can't control him.
Nah, there's a lot of women who don't have to put their credibility on the line that spoke out and said something, and I don't think that that's them being malicious or hating men or lying. Like, these people are already established. They don't need to come up. If they were going to do that,
Those
they would
are
have
the
done it
worst
before.
ones.
You think so?
Oh my God.
I don't think most of them are lying.
Oh, I do.
No.
Check them out.
Now, when you're talking about 50 years ago, Bill Cosby, I'm like, 50 years?
Yeah.
I don't know about that one. But some of them...
Some have been accusing me like 40 years ago he raped me. 40 years, give me a break.
It can be questionable, but...
you don't believe that.
It's their truth, not mine.
What is love?
Love? Love is love. Love is peace. Love is happiness. Love is contentment.
Do you have any events or anything coming up, projects that you want to promote?
I'm actually working on an album right now, 3 a.m. It's just more of a mellow album as opposed to some of my other work. Right now, we're also working on a nonprofit organization, Peace. We're going to do like a book club, and we want to donate a lot of materials to the homeless children that are within the LAUSD. So I have a lot of things that I'm working on behind the scenes.
We're going to put your website up, but how can people get more information? Do you have a website or anything?
Yeah, it's hiphopmademecool.com. If you want to find me online, and I'm on all social media as Miss Proper, MS Proper.
And so I saw some of your videos, and you like, there's one called Last Summer or something.
Oh, I like that video, yeah.
That's yours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
Thank you. We shot that ourselves.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You did a good job.
Thank you.
You really did. My final question.
Okay.
Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Good.
I've been waiting for this. I was excited.
Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
I enjoyed talking to you.
I appreciate it.
All right. And thank you for tuning in, folks. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, tweet, tell everybody and their mama. I appreciate it.
All
right.
of them.
Thank you again. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Next time on The Fallen State.
How do the Chinese people see things? How do they see race?
We're insular people. Our culture is like to keep it, we don't really like, to deal outside. I think that's just how the
Right.
culture was.
I noticed that. It's amazing that you are a rapper.
Why would you say it's amazing?
I never met a Chinese rapper. Do you love all people?
No, I don't love all people.
Why not?
Because everybody doesn't deserve to be loved.
Really?
Do you love all people?
Yes.
So you love somebody that will rape a 5-year-old girl?
Yes.
Well, in what world is that okay? So that person deserves to be
So
loved.
when you shot at someone and almost killed them, did you deserve love?
But I believe that shooting somebody in a gang-related situation is a lot different than raping.
So you have love and you just wanted to go out and kill people?
No, I didn't want to go out to kill people. But what I'm saying
but
is,
what
hold up,
made
can
you
I
go out and
finish
do it?
my thought?
Right.
It wasn't like a force pushed me to do it. I signed up for it. You understand what
I
I'm saying?
understand
So now what I'm saying is that's a lot different. You're gonna
No.
shake your head like no?
No.
Dude.
No, they're not. They want to just.
All right, hold on. Hold up, let me finish.
Hold on
Don't
a
you cut
minute.
me off. Who is this guy? Like, what the hell? What the fuck am I at right now? Listen, let me tell you something.
You're not answering that
No,
question.
I'm
Answer
about to
my-
tell
no,
you
no,
something
no.
right now. I think you just be saying shit just to fucking. You're good, this guy. Do you have a doll, like a blow-up doll of Donald
Listen,
Trump? I'm voting for Andrew Gaines.
I'm seeing some problems, got no one to blame. I'm looking for answers, but it's just more of the same. And I see a lot of talk now, but I'm not hearing a sound. I'm making my mind up, I'm not gonna run with the crowd. There's a break in the system, there's a crack in the seam. Just a little bit of fallout.
thanks for watching The Fallen State. We need your continued support. Donate to my nonprofit here. Subscribe and like the videos here. And tell everybody and their mama about the show.